So here's a map of the Native American tribes in Kentucky. These Native American tribes, they have, this map is a good one. It's an oversimplification. I like the maps better that have each one of the villages, the archaeological digs, and where shit has been found. Skippakittiki, it's like, northern Kentucky up here, and then Shinoa was right on the river, right across from another Shawnee town, and then Anwani. The other Shawnee town that I know about was, sort of in central Kentucky. So I know Shawnee's got, were attacked Abraham Lincoln in Louisville. That there was a whole island full of dead people. They don't know what happened, what that was all about. But even though it's a simplification, and I like those archaeological maps, there's not enough of them, so that's sort of why I like them, because it's like, oh wow, the Indian Knoll site actually is really close to where I live, and I'm really excited about it because the Indian Knoll site is like a huge archaeological dig in the United States. It really showed what the southeastern United States Native Americans were all about, and so lots of knowledge was gained with that archaeological dig at the archaic Indian site, which has elements of Yuchi, Shawnee, and Cherokee. All three of these Native American tribes, it could have been the Native Americans that were running around these hills and trees, streaks and creeks and streams before we got here. So the tribal history of Kentucky. This is a good simplification. Most of Kentucky is Shawnee. There's people that Shawnee killed Abraham Lincoln's granddad, also Abraham Lincoln, right? Abraham Lincoln got fucking shot. Chickasaw, the western lands of Kentucky, that's a pretty good fit. Most Chickasaw was actually in Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, but there was that corner right there. That corner is different from, actually it's probably the same actually now, but there was like big Confederate haven right there. There's actually it's right along the river here, so there's actually a lot of progress going on, but Kentucky fights progress. A lot of Confederates that had lived there, but there's also a substantial black population in some of these counties. So Kentucky's schizophrenic. Or maybe it's multipolar. It's got so many, the Yuchi and the Cherokee. The Yuchi are actually more savage and brutal and bigger of a fighting force than the Shawnee. The Shawnee was actually afraid of the Yuchi. Now put the Pawnee into mix. I don't know which one, Pawnee versus Shawnee versus Yuchi, who would actually fuck shit up the worst. The Pawnee was like all Native Americans and white people all united against the Pawnee because they were just so fucking vicious, cannibalistic, just psychopaths. Now, if I'm wrong about that, please someone call me out on it. But I saw a movie, and the movies are always right about shit like that. Oh my God, the Pawnee is coming. You need to get with it. So, anyways, the Yuchi were a distinguished, isolated Native American group. They speak the Yuchi language. They speak their own language. They believe themselves to be the original peoples of the Turtle Island of all the America. So of all the Native Americans, the Yuchi said a lot of them have origin stories like that. I think the Shawnee, Cherokee, and probably even Chickasaw all have stories such as that, but the fact that the story exists, that Yuchi, I think, means children of the sun, right? So they're the sun children, or the root, the roots. So you should consider that, because if that's a possibility, right? As a scientist, you keep open the possibility that something could be wrong or that something could be different, right? Until you get evidence to believe one way or another, leave open the possibility. And the possibility is the Yuchi could have been the original Native Americans in the United States, or in the North and South American continent, all together. So Shawnee, Cherokee, Chickasaw, Yuchi, these four tribes. If you're a Kentucky person, you should just memorize this four tribes. This is a sort of a child's map. Just, hey, here's where it's at, dotted lines. Yeah, Cherokee was up and down the Appalachia, but Cherokee was all across the state. Shawnee was just nomadic in lots of different spots. They had lots of permanent towns. The Indian Knolls site had burnt clay floors, so that means they had permanent dwellings. There was permanent dwellings that was at the Indian on the Green River at the Indian Knoll site. Not only was it that, there was marriages, there was rituals, there was social class, there was the rich, there was the poor. There were dogs. The Cherokee were the ones that knew or that had dogs, which were ritual, that were sacred, and they thought was one of the just part of their fucking traditions or their religion that put dogs on a pedestal. That was at the Indian Knoll site. But there's also things that the Shawnee did that was very similar to the Indian Knoll site. And there were towns, Yuchi towns on the Green River. The Green River probably had maybe 15 major archaeological digs. So made 15 villages or middens, their fucking landfills, the trash. And so we analyzed all their trash, their dead bodies, all the seashells, and just all the bullshit they throw into the garbage heap and try to figure out what kind of people these people were. So this is just the 4 tribes that you should know about Kentucky. If you're a true Kentuckian, would be Shawnee, Chickasaw, Yuchi, and Cherokee. You just should fucking know it. And if you don't, fuck you then. There's 34 fucking native tribes that's actually in Kentucky. So there's or 35. There's way more than just these 4. And we're just beginning to open our eyes. Archaeology and history need to connect, because archaeology has known that the historians have been wrong for quite some time. And I don't know if the historians just aren't reading close enough to archaeology, or if the archaeologists aren't making their foundings, they're not being as loud and boisterous from their foundings as they should be. The Cry of the Hawk, the Yahoo Falls Massacre, Kentucky. This is John Sevier. Okay, this is also Cherokee. This is just on this website here, but Princess Corn Blossom, Yahoo Falls. There is let's see. I guess we can try to check this out. Big Jake Troxel is a half-breed Delaware warrior from Pennsylvania, been sent by the personal staff of President Washington to sway the Cherokee away from the Spanish and to ally with the Native Americans. After seeing the inhumane treatment the new settlers inflicted on the Indians in southeast Kentucky and northern Tennessee, Big Jake ended up joining the Cherokee instead. So, Chief Doublehead, he said that white people tasted salty. His daughter was the beautiful Corn Blossom. They didn't say Princess Corn Blossom, but the English had a way of actually just seeing the similar traditions that the Native Americans had. So the kings and queens of Europe and the Native Americans were very similar in the sense that the rulers passed down their rule by bloodline to their family, to their sons and different, that sort of manner. Matrilineal or patriarchy, it depends on the tribes. Half of them were matrilineal and the other were, I think the Chickasaw were actually matrilineal, but so was the Cherokee. Cherokee was matrilineal. Just means the women ruled. And even though they ruled, they were still out in the fields working. Only Protestant, stuck up fucking Protestant, Victorian assholes are the only ones that kind of, don't think that they should work with their men. The Native American women were out in the fields, and farm work was actually considered women's work, because it was beneath the men. They were the hunters, so they needed physical prowess. They needed to pay attention to the, getting the meat and making sure that they got their protein and could live for, longer durations. And while the men were getting the meat, the women were preparing the vegetables. So that way they had, a filler. The protein was the meat, but you needed filler, so that way you would fill up and also, have your food for a long time. So, the massacre of Yahoo Falls is just fucked up. So let's see. They would be safe here, enrolled as members of a Presbyterian school for Indians. So they were going for education. Some fucking, minister said, come on down here. So Corn Blossom, Princess Corn Blossom, I like calling her that, because that's Chief Doublehead would be King Doublehead, King of the Cherokee, and Corn Blossom is his daughter. So that would make her a princess in the European sense. It's easier to remember, and it's flattering. It's not insulting. So Princess Corn Blossom is skilled warrior. So this is a fucking warrior princess, right? That's badass. That's, we need more warrior princesses. Believe that the future of our people lay in education and assimilation with the white settlers. In the summer of 1810, she began to lead a group to the Sequatchie Valley near Chattanooga, Tennessee. They would be safe there. So they're headed to, Tennessee. While they're walking down there, local Franklinites under Hiram Gregory. Now, Hiram Big Tooth Gregory was a bastard rat piece of shit. Hiram Gregory is John Sevier's men. John Sevier is Isaac Shelby's fucking best friend. They joined in an expedition just killing Indians together in 1779. Started the Chickamauga War. So they started Chickamauga War, Isaac Shelby did. And this is 79. This is in the middle of the fucking American Revolution. And this motherfucker's just killing Cherokee. He's not killing British. He's not killing any of the so-called redcoats. He's killing the natives, the aboriginals, the people who lived on this land before them. And given the choice, I wonder if some of the tribes would have said, this is our land and we want private ownership. We'll try your way. You know what I mean? Like to sit there and just be like, I think the Dolls Act, they try to do something like that, but it just, like what the fuck? Make some of it communal, some of it fucking private, try it that way. The fucking reservation, that's only going to be controlled by the fucking tribal elders, but the elders fuck everything up. The elders are the ones that let them all fucking take this shit. It should be the elders and the youngers. So there should be a tribe of elders and a tribe of youngers. Of course that's true. So the tribe of elders and the tribe of youngers, they that's just a good fucking model for any type of government, right? But the Yahoo Falls, they stopped in a cave for the night and just got fucking murdered by Hiram Gregory, Big Tooth, fucking Gregory's men. Young Indian and Jake's line bolted. This was a runner who tried to warn the people, gathered under the rock shelter to scatter, but the boy was immediately shot down. Indian fighters rapidly advanced to the falls area, lining themselves along the edge of the bluff surrounding the large opening below. They began firing from all sides on the children, now trapped directly underneath them. 100 children and some old men, pregnant women, and mothers huddled underneath the falls. Big Tooth and his men worked their way down the floor of the rock. Standing Fern, a woman warrior named Standing Fern, daughter-in-law of Corn Blossom, bravely rushed the pass with a few others in a desperate attempt to stop the murder. They were soon killed, but managed to take out a few of their attackers. The natives had just a few hatchets, no other weapons, no guns, just old people, women, children, right, walking. Some of the Kentucky Indian fighters had fought alongside Governor John Sevier, right, Isaac Shelby's fucking best friend, that piece of shit, the fucking plantation owner, fucking raping, slave raping, Native American genociding, fascist, totalitarian, fake fucking democratic, anti-revolutionary fuck. You want to see revolution, take a look at France and Haiti, and then ask yourself, how come the United States didn't give a fuck about France and Haiti's revolution? Because it wasn't a fucking revolution. An infamous Indian killer is credited with having coined Nits Make Lice, which actually makes a racist Diana Richardson, a black woman, that makes her laugh. She thought that was hilarious, that all these Native Americans are just being genocided and murdered. She thinks it's funny that, these fucking white racists are doing these horrible things. She doesn't understand solidarity with me because of my skin color. She thinks racism is fucking hilarious. And she can go to hell. I bet she's been terrorizing her kids and the men in her community and her life for her entire duration. She's fucking miserable. She's a bully. She's an asshole. And she can go to hell. She can go to hell! Summarizing a certain mindset before the massacre at Sand Creek, Colorado, 1864, although the tragic butchery at Yahoo Falls was not unique or extraordinary in the history of Western settlement, most Americans know nothing about it and very little about other similar events. His men killed elders, raped the women, younger female children of all ages, and cut bellies open. They senselessly murdered and scalped over 100 Chickamauga, Cherokee women, children, and old people who begged for their lives. Princess Corn Blossom was traveling behind with a separate party approached the Great Rock House with their children. As they came closer to the falls, it said a hawk flew above them and lit a nearby tree in a way that told Princess Corn Blossom something was wrong. The Cherokee was especially sensitive to the spirit power expressed in birds. It says a hawk. It could have been, a buzzard or a fucking vulture. A buzzard. The party anxiously pushed onward to get the children to the falls in safety. Arriving at the entrance area, she found Jake and the front guards brutally scalped. Leaving the children there with some women, Corn Blossom, her son, War Chief Peter Troxel, Redbird, and their party of warriors rushed to the falls. With some of Gregory's gang still going at it, Corn Blossom screams to her warriors to kill these animals. 2 days later, this wound ended Corn Blossom's life. A gunshot injury. Oh, gotcha. Damn, so she actually found the motherfuckers there, right? All of them are fucking dead and shit. She says, "We are not conquered yet. Remember my children. Remember my people. We are not yet conquered." So this massacre essentially destroyed the Chickamauga Cherokee from southwest Kentucky to Knoxville. With no powerful leaders left in Kentucky and the Cumberland Plateau, many Cherokee decided to leave the area in fear of the whites, while others sought isolation by hiding in the Appalachian Hills. The settlers who comprised the Kentucky and Tennessee militias considered this affair the last of the resistance movement of the Kentucky and Northern Tennessee Cherokees. This was the year Captain Black Fox finally decided to move his people to Arkansas, where hopefully they would pursue a new life. So this is, motherfucking Isaac Shelby's people. Isaac Shelby didn't give a fuck about the Cherokee, the Chickasaw, the Shawnee, the Ute. He didn't give a fuck about any of the Native Americans. He only cared about his fucking pale-faced friends and himself and, his fucking daddy. His daddy was a plantation owner, Evan fucking Shelby. And Isaac Shelby tried to do everything his dad, as long as it's in the fucking in the eye of the beholder, right? Did you like this, daddy? If daddy approved, then he was all happier than a fucking skylark and a fucking knitted up raccoon sock made with cotton polyester blend. So the Chickasaw men wore breech cloth, sometimes the leather leggings to protect their legs. Chickasaw, just to learn you something. Sassafras tea. The Chickasaws love the sassafras tea. But the Chickasaw is going to be the Jackson Purchase, and Isaac Shelby is going to fucking pay them to leave, but it's a fucking Trail of Tears, get the fuck out of my state type of deal. So Chickasaw lands today forever encrusted with Andrew Jackson's fucking name. Henry Clay hated fucking Andrew Jackson. That's another thing I'll give Henry Clay a fucking 2 thumbs up for. He fucking hated Andrew Jackson, and Andrew Jackson was a piece of shit. He was a genocidal fucking bloody shirt warrior fucking maniac. He was brutal. He was a savage. He attacked people even when, Supreme Court or legislators, when other people said it was fucking wrong, he didn't give a shit. He thought he was more superior. Even Teddy Roosevelt said talk fucking shit. Teddy Roosevelt said he never met a Native American that was good enough. Maybe 9 out of 10, he said, and even the 10th one he would probably think was a dumb fucking idiot. So I'm just going to learn a little bit more about the Cherokee, Native Americans. Remember the top 4: Cherokee, Shawnee, Ute, and Chickasaw. If you don't know those 4 and you live in Kentucky, you're a shitty fucking Kentuckian. And I guarantee you, I almost bet you 99% of Kentuckians don't know who the fuck Isaac Shelby is. I should just add that question on there. Who is the first fucking governor of Kentucky? You don't fucking know, because you don't know your own history. You don't know shit about whites. You don't know shit about the European roots that you have. You don't know a goddamn thing about yourselves. You live in a culture of fucking ignorance. Your daddy fucking bought some cows, treated you like a bitch-ass slave. He wanted you to be racist and to hate women and to hate native and whatever brown-skinned people and his prejudices and biases. And you kiss your daddy's ass, so you've never learned to actually fucking think for your goddamn self. All you daddy dick suckers, and you all go out and be fascists just like that motherfucker was, because you don't know how else to be. You don't know what equality looks like. You don't know how to build culture. You don't know how to work cooperatively. You don't know how to share power. You don't know shit about democracy, about convincing other people, about debating, about parliamentary procedure. You don't know shit about jack shit. You can plow a fucking field. Wow, big fucking deal. You know the Native Americans had a better, more evolved agriculture. They did engineering feats that no white person could do today. You can plow a fucking field? Yeah, they can plow a fucking field with a steel plow and an ox. Plowing fields have been along for a long ass time. You know what you don't know how to do? You don't know how to question shit, question authority, to respect intelligence, to try new things, to experiment, to be fucking different. You only know how to blend in and try to be like everybody else. But guess what? Everybody else is a bunch of fucking psychopathic lunatics. You being a conformist piece of shit, you're conforming into a sick fucking culture. Even MLK said, what would be the point of actually integrating into a burning house? Did he help black folks by integrating? Maybe whites should have integrated with the blacks. That would have helped. That would have been white progress. MLK helped white progress with integration. That's what MLK did. So, Chickasaw. Let's learn about some Chickasaw. They had canoes. They enjoyed sassafras tea, which I don't even know what sassafras tea is. These are the natives, the Shawnee. There's I know Cornstalk. I know Maluntha and Tecumseh, Puckshinwa. And there's the Kanassa, or the guy that was actually from Skipakithi, Black Hoof. There's Blackfish. These are all Shawnee war chiefs. I'll say them again: Maluntha, Blackfish, Black Hoof, Cornstalk, Maluntha, Tecumseh, Puckshinwa. These are all Shawnee war chiefs. Cherokee, Dragon Canoe, Chief Doublehead. I don't know as much about them as I know about the Shawnee. The Shawnee were badass. They would cut their ears. This ain't a badass thing. It's actually a weird thing, but it's something that was distinguished to Shawnee. They would like cut just the ends of their ears, and they would be able to pull it down, so they had like these big hoops of just the tips of their ears kind of hanging down. It wasn't cute or pretty. It was fucked up and weird, but that was something that they did. They were badass when it come to fighting, though. Tecumseh was one of the last Native Americans to hold out. Him and the prophet Tenskwatawa, and or Tinsk, I think so. Tenskwatawa, the prophet. And then Simon Girty was out there with the Shawnee. The Shawnee were badasses, okay? Everybody respected the fucking Shawnee, not because they were assholes, but because they fucking had honor and they had dignity, and they, they were proportional, and they were righteous about a lot of things. They've probably been there for a long ass time. The Southern tribe, Shawnee, the Southern. So let's see, the Cherokee, the Shawnee, the Yuchi. The Yuchi, either Hernando de Soto, they said he run into the Siska, or the Chiska, which could be the Chickasaw, Chickasaw, or they said that Chiska is probably the Yuchi. So that's the only connection that I know about the Yuchi. There's some towns that are named after it, but that's that's something that there's so much stuff that needs to be fucking learned. Archaeology and history have got to fucking meet up for Kentucky, because there's a gap in the historical record. There's been civilizations on this fucking continent for 14,000 years, and we could learn from each one of those civilizations which ones succeeded, which ones didn't, and why did they fail. Do we give a fuck about our so-called civilization? White people been doing shit just fucking perfect? What's up with World War One, World War Two, slavery and genocide of the Native Americans? 100 fucking people, genocide. You want to sit there and tell me that they're more civilized? That's fucking bullshit. That's bullshit. They're not more civilized. The fucking king and queen just made a pretty picture for your all's fucking so-called civilization, and then the Christians would just give you enough dumb, docile fucking sheep to manipulate into doing whatever the fuck it is you wanted them to do. They weren't fucking breaking laws, and they weren't criminal and shit, because if they remain powerless, stupid, and backwards, they're going to go to heaven. Unfortunately, it's the movers and shakers of society are ones that value themselves, value intelligence, and can speak up for themselves. So there's a combination there. Civilization, bull fucking shit. That ain't no civilization. It was ordered system because it helped the land lords, and it made everybody, everybody was doing shit. Just because everybody's doing shit and there's order doesn't necessarily mean that's civilized. There's order and people are doing shit in North Korea. There's order and people are doing shit in Nazi Germany. Just because there's order and people are doing shit doesn't necessarily mean civilization. Civilization is when we get along, we enjoy life, we care about the more finer, important things of life, instead of just keep the Protestant work ethic or the Puritan work ethic. There's the Germans are the ones that are out there working. The German women are working out with they're working with their men out in the field, so they was more equal with the Germans. The Native Americans, the women were out in the field doing the work because that was actually looked down upon, because it doesn't require as much labor and effort as hunting does. So that was women's work. But the Protestant women, the English-speaking Protestant women, just were like, oh my God, look at these workers making me look stupid. Whenever the slaves would revolt, they would kill Massa's wife first. She's probably the biggest fucking asshole. Probably shitty to all of them, right? She just needed to get her man focused on her, and she was golden. And if she was insecure, right, anybody else that ever got his attention, or heaven forbid, one of the slaves were actually pretty, or maybe even prettier than her, she would hate her. She would hate her. Chickasaw men wore a breech cloth, sometimes with leather leggings to protect their legs. Chickasaw women wore wrapabout skirts made of woven fiber or deerskin. The Chickasaws also wore moccasins on their feet. Shirts were not necessary in Chickasaw culture, but men and women both wore poncho-style blouses in cooler weather. In colonial times, the Chickasaws adapted European costume. So, anyways, they wore moccasins, breech cloth, right? So I guess that's just a loin cloth. That's Indian skin, buffalo skin, elk skin, mastodon skin. So moccasins, I love that fucking look, right? Moccasins just look fucking comfortable. Indian canoes, they could carve a tree out into a canoe that floated, and then it was portable, and they could travel up and down the river. And they can make arrowheads. They can make axes and saws from rocks, just taking one rock and hitting it onto the other rock. Um, the weapons, they used fishing spears in war. Chickasaw men fired their bows and fought with tomahawks and lances. Chickasaw warriors used hide shields to defend themselves. Set arrows on fire before shooting them. Mulberry textiles, pottery, wood carvings, river cane baskets. River cane, so they're actually tying up the reeds and shit and making some sort of basket, some woven style basket, which is like Lomburger baskets are like fucking fancy and expensive. Mobilian trade jargon. The Choctaws, Creek, Choctaw, Cherokee, Seminole, the 5 civilized tribes, and the Chickasaw. So the Chickasaw was one of the 5 civilized tribes. So Creek, Choctaw, Cherokee, Seminole, Chickasaw. 2 of those were Kentucky Indians. Yeah, 3 of them. Creek, we had Creek Indians, Muskogee Creek here in the old bluegrass, old dark and bloody. And it's dark and bloody because of the fucking George Washingtons of Kentucky, right? Isaac Shelby, the George Washington, the 1st and the 5th governor of Kentucky, who was pivotal in getting the first Constitution of Kentucky passed, as well as getting Kentucky adopted into the United States, because that's the only way you became a fucking state. You can have your own government, but until you're recognized, by the French or the Spanish or the English or the Americans, you weren't a real fucking country. So that you could organize yourself into Franklin. There's so many lost states, actually. People that organized themselves, but they never got United States designation. So when Abraham Lincoln said he wanted to preserve the Union, it does actually make sense for the English colonies to be united, that they keep on going along with this experiment of we're all together, democracy, freedom of speech. We wrote that shit down on paper, the first ones to do it by the consent of the governed. So they have to at least have the illusion of elections. It's just the bullshit is just too fucking big. We have an electoral college. Kentucky had an electoral college with their first constitution. And even though slavery was legalized, they forgot and left a loophole for free blacks and mulattoes to be able to vote. But they changed that in 1799. So the Jacksonian idea of democracy was democracy for white people, fuck the black and brown skinned people. So just like with Kentucky, the difference between the 1792 Constitution and the 1799 Constitution is that the 1799 Constitution fucked over blacks, make sure that free blacks and free mulattoes didn't have a right to vote, so totally took away all their fucking rights, but it increased the democracy and got rid of the electoral college and made the senators and the representatives and the governor beholden to the will of the people, to popular vote of the people. No longer did the electoral college choose who would rule Kentucky. And that's just some bullshit. The founders put the electoral college there just so their friends and buddies would choose them. So that was just a fucking mechanism designed to make sure that the right owners were actually in charge, instead of like some socialist or some poor Daniel Boone type of fucking communist who might take the national forest and nationalize them and say, hey, this is a national forest, don't fucking touch. Chickasaws. The origin of the Chickasaw Nation, we're going to find out. All the other ones, they have their own founding stories, right? So the origin of the Chickasaw Nation, the Chickasaw Nation, they originated from the middle of the earth. I thought I had it pulled up, but evidently I don't. So you have to find out where the Chickasaw actually came from. So, 30 minutes have gone by and I haven't said a fucking word about Isaac Shelby. So, I'm going to run through Isaac Shelby, okay? So, it was starting out as the Chickasaw. Isaac Shelby killed the fucking Chickasaw. He didn't care about the damn moccasins, didn't give a fuck about their culture or, you know, where they were from, what they did, how they lived. He was just like the fucking white racist female in the fucking archives at Breckenridge County. She says, I don't give a damn about the Native Americans. And 2 days later, takes a day off, gets holiday pay for Thanksgiving, which was supposed to be what? Whites and Native Americans getting along together? No, but she doesn't give a shit about Native Americans. Isn't she a Native American? Well, maybe nobody should give a shit about you. But I guess her birth on this fucking dirt is somehow more important than the Shawnee who were born here 14,000 years ago, or the Ute or Cherokee who live on the Green River, which is connected to the Rough River. And the Rough River, Rough Lake, Muddy Prong, Clear Prong, that's Breckenridge County. You had Native Americans. Shawnee fucking killed McDaniels. McDaniels, his wife, and him's dead because of the Shawnee Native Americans. William Hardin takes a force of 80 men and goes hunts the Shawnee down off of Saline Creek. So he has to go out and hunts the Shawnee, specifically the Shawnee. So say whatever you want to say, but the Shawnee was definitely here. And the studies on the Green River Indians says that the Ute and the Cherokee were probably around here too. And then just my understanding of Kentucky, there's probably 20 other fucking tribes just all over the place. There should be a museum actually collecting artifacts around here, especially with the Rough River Lake. I don't see why they wouldn't do something like that. So Isaac Shelby. Isaac Shelby is a fucking bastard. We're going to go from left to right. This guy's a French guy. The Citizen Gannett fucking affair is like a big fucking deal. They're eventually going to use that against Isaac Shelby when he runs. He's the first and fifth governor. So when he runs the in 1812 or around there, when he runs the second governor elections, they were sitting there saying that he was actually against the United States because he actually entertained this fucking Gannett guy. And the Gannett guy was a French fucking imperialist, but he was talking about fighting the Spanish. And so, you know, I'm not against actually Isaac Shelby on this. It was interesting how much pressure Thomas Jefferson and Henry Knox was putting on Isaac Shelby to force him to arrest any of these French agents. And they were part of the old fucking empire. And maybe he should have. Maybe he should have, because eventually revolutionary France says that asshole's not allowed to come back and that he should be arrested. So I don't know why he should be arrested, if he was revolutionary France or not. If he was royalist France, he should have been arrested. But if he's revolutionary, so I guess that just depends on who the fucking guy actually was. Anyways, he came here and he just started organizing American privateers to go to war with Spain, and then acted surprised when Washington says, no, you're actually breaking the law by doing that. What are you doing? He was like, oh, my bad, monsieur. Right, the French. So this is all about Isaac Shelby. I just actually saw something fucking fascinating. Settlement in Kentucky. He was saying that Shelby and his fathers were named commissioners to negotiate a treaty between colonial settlers and the Chickamauga. The Chickamauga War happened underneath Isaac Shelby. He's the one that started it. Him and John Sevier started in 1779. Isaac Shelby raised his own money to go fight. Again, the Chickamauga was just a type of Cherokee. I want to say Chief Doublehead or Roundhead or Narragansett or Dragon Canoe. Dragon Canoe is probably my favorite Cherokee chief. He's the one that said, hey, Kentucky's dark and bloody, motherfuckers. Y'all gonna die. A lot of death. A lot of death is going to happen. You try to take that fucking land over. Something wrong with that land. Something up with them hills. It's probably because you're living on top of fucking a dozen ancient civilizations of which you know nothing about and have not improved upon one iota. Cornwallis defeated at the siege of Yorktown. After Shelby and Sevier arrived and Greene sent them to join General Francis Marion on the PD River. On Marion's orders, Shelby and Colonel Hezekiah Maham captured a British fort at Fort Fair lawn near Monk's Corner. What the fuck am I talking? Why do I care about any of this shit? Okay. So he was elected to the North Carolina General Assembly. I thought he was in Virginia too. So he leaves because he's fighting the war. He's reelected in 1782, attended the April session, and then early 1783. So he's a fucking representative. He knows how to do government shit. He knew the right people. Because he was political, that's what protects Isaac Shelby. Puts him in the middle, but he's able to get profits. And he probably doesn't even have to fight in these battles. Just ride a horse and tells men to attack and then fucking hide underneath the fucking bridge with the trolls. In early 1783, he was chosen as a commissioner to survey preemption claims of soldiers along the Cumberland River. Shelby returned to Kentucky in April 1783, settling at Boonesboro. He married Susanna Hart on April 19, 1783. The couple had 11 children. So he's just popping kids out, right? Has all them slaves. The eldest daughter did this and did that. So when did he move there? It looks like he's saying they did he was doing the commissioner to survey the fucking claims on the Cumberland River. So that's the south part. I think he grew up in Lincoln. Where did he grow up? There's a Shelby County. He dies in Lincoln County, which is named for who? Because Lincoln wasn't president until 1861. It says he died in 1826, age 75. This motherfucker lived for a long ass time. While we're waiting for Lincoln County to get up here, let's take a look at his fucking face. Right, so James Girard is going to pass him. Gabriel Slaughter. These are all the first governors of Kentucky. The governor's only been in there for 4 years, so they don't have enough time to make their fucking mark. James K. Polk was able to do some shit in 4 years. Obama's done some shit in 4 years. You know, his first 4 years is pretty fucking remarkable. But ultimately it seems like at least 8, I don't know, 8 seems a lot, but it doesn't seem like it's too much. Not like 30 fucking 6, right? Kentucky loves her Mubarak. Kentucky loves just pissing money away. Mitch McConnell says, I'm just gonna fucking wreck the economy, wreck the country, and then these dumb motherfuckers, and then blame it on the Democrats, and these stupid fucking Kentucky voters are gonna vote for me. And he was right. The dumb Kentucky voters did vote for him because they hated Obama more than they loved America. Fuck America. America wants to vote for the damn niggers. Well, we're just going to secede out of America. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do that because that's what we do. We piss in a pot and shit in a hole and had no teeth, drink Mountain Dew, and we got lots of social programs. Nobody ever told, help me out. Nobody ever helped. I was on, got the food stamps and got free public housing and stuff, and nobody helped us. Social Security is all we get. Well, what the hell? We just get Social Security and that's it? What's that got to do with the government? Fuck Obamacare. I ain't trying to get healthy. I ain't trying to get better teeth out here. I don't give a fuck if my grandmammy dies of fucking cancer of the tongue, heart, brain, skin. I don't give a fuck. Diabetes, fucking pollution. I don't give a fuck. So this asshole, the fucking Isaac Shelby, you got the fucking, he got a weird looking head. He's all pissed off with his fucking hook ass fucking nose, right? He's all stern, got no neck, has a waddle, fucking looks privileged as shit. Got a weird ass jacket, old school fucking friddly fucking, collar. One of them fucking, I don't even know what they're called, but they got these weird shit that they would put around their fucking necks, right? Oh, I am so fanciful. Look at this thing around my neck. Yeah, that thing around your neck means you're not a farmer. You don't do hard fucking work. You don't do labor. Fuck all this, pretentious fucking costumes and shit. Motherfuckers act like they put on a decent fucking pair of pants or whatever and somehow they're better than everybody. No, motherfucker. The pair of pants that I respect the most is the pair of pants that's dirty. That's a little bit dirty or that's been washed and still has some dirt stains. That motherfucker is a worker. He's a worker. And you want to put nice clothes on when you do sort of formal affairs, but that should just be once a month or some shit. If you're wearing that type of shit every fucking day, you're not doing shit. You're not working. You're not doing anything to help other motherfuckers. And so that's Isaac Shelby. He's got that weird narrow head. Kind of looks like fucking Andrew Jackson, but not a long face. He's a rapist. Been raping his fucking slaves, an Indian genocider. He was his daddy's favorite, right? Not sure if they went all Greek and Aristotle them or not. But that's this Isaac Shelby. I never looked at this motherfucker and said, "Hey, that's just like me," because it's not. 5,000 acres. It's pretty nice. His fucking father was plantation owner. He grew in fucking aristocracy, and that's why he doesn't understand life or liberty. Lincoln County is a county sort of central Kentucky, south of Lexington. It's a dry county. Surprise, surprise. But that's where Isaac Shelby eventually fucking dies. The Cumberland River is like right around here. He might have been around the Cumberland River. But where he was serving isn't where he lived. He was checking on land in 1780, 1783. I don't know when he got his 5,000 acres. But he's been here for, quite some time. Isaac Shelby is a bastard rat fuck, right? So let's learn a little bit about this bastard rat fuck, right? We know he's the George Washington of Kentucky, but what else has he done? What was he before? What was he after? He does seem to kind of come out of nowhere. Also, like James K. Polk, but really all of them were, right? Because America come into being. This is when they become nationalized. They even put Daniel Boone under trial because he wasn't American enough. Now, wait a second, Daniel Boone. You said you declared loyalty to the Shawnee, to Blackfish, to the King, to the British, to George Washington. Who the fuck are you, Daniel? Who the fuck are you? So Isaac Shelby's military service began when he served as second in command to his father at the Battle of Point Pleasant. So Evan Shelby is a plantation owner, has slaves. He's fighting in the military. He tells his son to fight in the fucking same thing that he does. So he gets into the fucking war, the Battle of Point Pleasant. That's when the American Revolution began in 1774, and the white Pennsylvanians killed Johnny Logan, Talgayita's family, chopped them all down in a little bitty fucking piece, tricked them, and says, "Hey, let's have a party." And then when they got drunk and put their guns down, they got shot. And so the Pennsylvanians killed all of Johnny Logan's family. Johnny Logan snaps and just starts fucking attacking villages and shit, being proportional, right? His village got burnt down. He went and killed a fucking another, just as many fucking villages as he could get his hands on. And then the Battle of Point Pleasant happens. That's when Lord Dunmore, the British royalist of Virginia, declares war on the Native Americans. Daniel Boone was at the Battle of Point Pleasant. Even Simon Girty was at the Battle of Point Pleasant. So the white guy who eventually deflects and fights for the Native Americans. Battle of Point Pleasant was a huge rallying cry for the white fucking people, the invading colonizers. This was 1774, and Daniel Boone is fighting for the British crown in 74. So is Isaac Shelby. Isaac Shelby was at the Battle of Point Pleasant. He was a British fucking redcoat. He was a British fucking, Benedict Arnold, basically, in reverse, right? He deflects from the British to the Americans, which is the right choice. But it's even a better choice if you went old Simon Girty and said, no, we're going to defend the fucking indigenous, the people that were here to begin with. And integrate, not push them out. This is their land. Why the fuck can't we share it? You don't know how to fucking share land? Isaac, huh? Isaac motherfucking Shelby. You know how to share motherfucking land? You don't. You don't know shit about sharing. So Isaac Shelby used to be fucking British, right? So he's a British fucking asshole. The Battle of Point Pleasant is a sticking point for me because it's the first battle of the American Revolution. The last battle is the Battle of Blue Licks. The first battle and the last battle of the American Revolution was fighting against Native Americans. The revolution wasn't a fucking revolution. It was an anti-revolution. It stopped the revolution from happening. It's like World War One. There would have been a revolution had the Woodrow Wilson not tapped all that shit down, right? He was an oppressive, tyrannical, totalitarian piece of shit, invading Mexico, invading Haiti, invading, overseas, the war to end all wars. It didn't really stop it, did it? There, Woodrow, now you created fucking Hitler. Good job, Woodrow Wilson. Eugene Debs went to prison for 10 years, but had we listened to Eugene Debs, we wouldn't have had an Adolf Hitler. Fuck Woodrow Wilson. He says that the birth of a nation is like writing history with lightning. Birth of a Nation was a glorification of the Ku Klux Klan. Woodrow Wilson said that that's how history was. The white people lost the Civil War and then the Great Klan fucking redeemed them. No, that's not how it was, Woodrow Wilson, you racist fucking piece of shit. If it wasn't a world war, then we would have actually had ourselves a fucking revolution. But we haven't had a revolution. We haven't even had one. The only revolutionary times, the hippies and the civil rights movement, the Million Man March. It's the only time we got close to any type of revolution. The people taking the country back. Now, you know, we've had electoral revolutions, we've had constitutional revolutions, and those are revolutions because they changed the name of the game, they changed the fucking rules, but they don't always change the players, and they don't change the system. And so a true revolution changes the system. And I don't know. These assholes are really good at getting together, making up their own shit, and just speaking, you know, just fucking going along with everybody else. So the first governor of Kentucky, Isaac Shelby, he's before he becomes governor, he's at the Battle of Point Pleasant, and I told you about the Battle of Point Pleasant. The only reason that battle happened was because the Virginian militia didn't like that Johnny Logan was going and retaliating against the fucking occupying settlers. He didn't like this shit. You're coming on our land. You killed my whole fucking family. I have nothing to live for. It's just Johnny Logan out here. Who's going to mourn for Logan? All of his kids, his wife, his sister, his mother, brother, grandparents, all dead. Everybody in his family's fucking dead. He's not no Squanto. He's not an Uncle Tom Squanto. Ain't going to help the fucking motherfuckers that just executed and wiped out his fucking family. Eye for an eye. Justice. Indian, retribution says he was allowed to kill eye for an eye, one for one of everybody that was killed in his family of those Virginia, of those fucking colonists that was coming over. And he's absolutely fucking right. But the whites never played fair. They didn't give a fuck about what was just or what was fair. Henry Clay, he's supposed to be this, give me liberty or give me death type of guy. But when he found about Maluntha or Cornstalk being assassinated, he was like, ooh, we're going to get them guys. Don't you worry. Give fucking face, but he didn't actually get anybody. He didn't give a shit. He just wanted land. Same thing that George Washington wanted. Same thing Isaac Shelby wanted. Same thing Daniel Boone wanted. Same thing the Lincolns want. Same thing human beings want. And revolutions are generally fought for land. That's what the American Revolution was about. They took the fucking land. If it was a true blue revolution, the land would have gone to the people, to the poor, to the women, to the natives, to the slaves, to the poor whites who had no property. It would have been an agrarian nation, but we had an electoral college. It's fucking Isaac Shelby, man. Ever since Isaac Shelby become governor of Kentucky, it just went fucking downhill after that. The French Revolution happened, and then we get the fucking establishment right in our fucking faces. It used to be a fucking British man, right? Later on, he and Sevier led expeditions over the Appalachian Mountains against British forces. Yeah, right. It's probably the fucking Native Americans. The Battle of Kings Mountain, he was known for having a decisive feat there, so that made him a fucking hero because, he ordered motherfuckers into battle and got shot up. Just an ugly man, ugly, pissed off fucking piece of shit. Ugly, pissed off, fucking privileged, stuck up, fucking elitist, plutocrat, slave raping, genocidal motherfucker. Fuck him. 11 kids. How many of them are black? And did he recognize his black kids, or are those all his white kids and he's got another 11 fucking black kids somewhere? You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about interracial, having different race kids. I don't give a shit about that. My fucking point is this motherfucker kept it hidden. He didn't want anybody to know about this shit. Same thing Margaret Gardner's fucking owner did. Was raping the fuck out of her until she ran away. When they caught her, she was like, fuck it, we're all going to commit suicide. Try to do revolutionary suicide. Try to pull Jim Jones, right, on all the fucking kids. And what the fuck? Slavery was worse than death than her. So, her massa was raping her because his wife was pregnant. Well, his wife, Isaac Shelby's wife, was pregnant 11 times. How many times was his wife inaccessible to him? And he had to go out to the slave quarters and get his jollies. So, fuck him. We don't know how many total he owned, even 5,000 acres. And he had at least 3, possibly 4 slaves of evidence I found. So, he's definitely a fucking slave owner. Killed natives his entire life, right? So, Battle of Point Pleasant. That was the British attacking the fucking Native Americans. So this British man was killing fucking Native Americans. Then eventually they're like, fuck this. Why give all this land to the British when we could just take it for ourselves? So then he's going into the Appalachian Mountains, killing more natives. They say he goes after the British at the Battle of Kings Mountain. Maybe true, maybe not. But that's something we could look into. Later on, it's going to be said that he ran away from the Battle of Kings Mountain. Like, he was a fucking coward, right? Maybe he was. I don't fucking know. Said he was named Old Kings Mountain. Hey, Kings Mountain. So Shelby relocated to Kentucky on lands awarded to him for his military service. So again, just like Robert Stevens, he gets land because of the Revolutionary War. The George Washington somehow had 5,000 fucking acres. So I don't know how Robert Stevens gets 94,000 and then Isaac Shelby and George Washington only get 5,000. Are you telling me Robert fucking Stevens was more important than Isaac Shelby? Who the fuck is this Robert Stevens? He's starting to piss me off the more and more I think about him. So Isaac Shelby, right? He's the fucking George Washington of Kentucky. He's fighting against Native Americans, the British too. Him and John Sevier are fucking best fucking buddies. Just enjoy killing everybody, right? Possibly was actually fighting, maybe just being a commander. Go kill, go there, go there. I'm a commander. Following the war, Isaac Shelby relocated to Kentucky on lands awarded to him. His heroism made him popular with the citizens, right? So that's all it was. He won fucking Battle of Kings Mountain, so he's fucking, that's the man, man. No, he won that fucking battle, remember? Old King Mountain. He secured the state from Indian attacks, organized its first government. The state electoral college, surprise, surprise, he was only elected by the elites, by the electoral fucking college, not by the citizens, not by the squatters, by the fucking, goddamn motherfucking elites. So the aristocracy picks him. So he's a hero amongst the aristocracy. It says he leveraged the citizen Genet affair to convince the Washington administration to make an agreement with the Spanish for free trade on the Mississippi River, which is fascinating. The citizen Genet, he tried to start a French army to fight the Spanish, and so he was sitting there. He was supposed to arrest him because the United States says you must arrest him, but he was like, well, wait a second, what's the U.S. Constitution say in legality with the governor of the state? Are you sure you're allowed to do this? At the end of his gubernatorial term, Shelby retired from public life. He's called back into politics by the impending War of 1812. Kentuckians urged, come on, Kentuckians, I don't believe they all fucking did. He has to institute the draft, but he did get a lot of volunteers. He was elected easily at the request of General William Henry Harrison, commanded troops from Kentucky at the Battle of the Thames, where they killed Tecumseh. At the conclusion of the war, he declined. President James Monroe offered to become Secretary of War. His last act of public service, him and Andrew Jackson acted as commissioners to negotiate the Jackson Purchase from the Chickasaw Indian tribe. Right? Killed fucking Chickasaw, killed fucking Cherokee, killed fucking Shawnee. Anybody that he wanted to fucking kill. Anybody that had brown skin, Isaac Shelby fucking hated. If you had black skin, he would rape you and enslave you and force you to work on his property. And then he died in Lincoln County, which is in central Kentucky. Northwest War, an illegal fucking war, just going on, undeclared, people just fighting for no fucking reason. There was a no quartering. There was a battle where they had no quartering, and no quartering meant that they took no prisoners. And that was at the Battle of Little Mountains, the Battle of Big Mountain or Kings Mountain. They fucking killed the prisoners of war at the Battle of Kings Mountain. So once they did it in retribution for some other fucking, you killed prisoners of war, so we're going to kill ours. It is a pain to have prisoners, but they said there was no quartering, so they was going to kill all the prisoners until the fucking battle was over. And, while that sounds reasonable and logical the way it reads, they just killed POWs, And there is no, it was scorched earth policy. War is held. There is no fucking rules in war. Just whatever. Sometimes they might, if the public outcry, they'll throw some red fish out to the fucking public, let them eat on it for a while. But Blackwater isn't going to get in trouble. Just the people that was in the videotape. Abu Ghraib, the president's not going to get in trouble. Just the poor fucking soldiers who was in those pictures, they're going to get fucked over, and that's it. Little Turtles War, the Northwest Indian War. This is during the time of George Washington. So George Washington is president, and he just killing all these fucking Native Americans. You know, the Miami and the Shawnee in the Ohio territory for no reason, just because he wanted their fucking land, right? The Revolutionary War had all these land grants. That's how they were paying for it. And if you fight in this war, we'll give you land. Well, no shit. The connection to land in the war was so fucking, you know, clear. Battle of Kanawha, the Battle of Point Pleasant, part of Fort Dunmar's War. There's the monument to the battle in Point Pleasant, a big, you know, phallic symbol there. It looks like Washington statue, just a big old fucking point straight up in the air. Which, I don't know, steel, all that concrete, when you could have just had a fucking steel bar, painted it, threw it up there or something, if you just wanted a big fucking dick to the sky. So the Virginia militia and Indians from the Shawnee and the Mingo. So they were going after the Mingo. The Chief Plucky was a Mingo, and so was Johnny Logan. So the Shawnee badasses just fucking jump in, right? Shawnee Chief Cornstalk, who was eventually assassinated by the fucking Virginians on a peace envoy, like a serious peace envoy, not like fucking Hardin, his peace, so-called peace envoy, but he was actually saying, hey, you know, let's we've talked this out before, let's talk this out again. They was like, no, fuck you, we'll kill you. So Lord Dunmar was a British. You know, this was one of the first battles of the Revolution, and it was the British versus the Native Americans. No Americans to speak of. Not a single American was fighting here, except unless you want to say the Shawnees and the Mingos were the only Americans. So it was the British versus who? Who the fuck is the British attacking here? Who the fuck is Isaac Shelby? Usually they'll say, well, the Native Americans was siding with the British. This is the British right here. The British was fucking killing Shawnee and Mingo. Why is the British killing Shawnee and Mingo? Because they want their fucking land. They want their fucking land. It has nothing to do with them allying with the British. It was all about the Native Americans' land. It was all about them. They lose over and over again. Every fucking chapter in the beginning of American history, you got the Native Americans losing. And really, history is about finding those heroes that we can fucking, you know, hold up and say, this is a person worthy of living by. You can't get no better than MLK. His fucking life is a goddamn movie. It's a storybook fucking movie. And, you know, what an amazing fucking human being. You can't get no better than fucking MLK. Non-violent activists, non-violent, and white America just couldn't fucking stand him, could they? He was a fucking revolutionary. You want to see a fucking revolutionary? MLK. I already talked about John Sevier. This is his fucking buddy, right? He killed Cherokee. He killed Chief Redbird. He killed the Yahoo Falls children, the massacre at Yahoo Falls. This guy's responsible for all of it. Big Tooth, Hiram Gregory's the one that did it, but that's John Sevier's men. And then Chief Redbird, I don't know if he was involved with it. He knew the two guys' name, Ned Livingston and somebody else. He knew their fucking names, and he pretended that he didn't know shit about it, and he was such an asshole about the whole fucking affair. He was just a fucking dick. The state of Franklin, I liked his idea of eliminating all the doctors and lawyers and just having farmers and merchants, artisans, organize their own fucking government. We can organize our own fucking government. We don't need some rich cocksuckers fucking jumping in the middle. You know, we think electing rich cocksuckers is going to be helpful to us. When has a rich cocksucker ever gave a shit about anybody else? When FDR did that shit, they called him a traitor to his own class. FDR, a traitor to your own class? You know, he was in there for what, 16 years, 12 years? Fucking FDR is like the most progressive fucking president we've ever had. I feel nostalgic for FDR. Man, remember when we had a good-ass president under FDR? We could have had a new deal under Obama. We had a super fucking majority. He dropped the fucking ball on this shit. Democrats either have to fucking regain what the fuck they were given or just say fuck it all. You're going to have a radical insurgency coming up your fucking ass. That's the only way the Republicans can win. It's the only way they can win. Mitch McConnell tries to play this in-between game. Oh, I'm the establishment. Oh, I'm the fucking insurgency. Now, you're going to have to make a choice, motherfucker. You're one or the other. So the Battle of Kings Mountain. Here's where they killed the fucking POW. While stopped on bigger staff land, the rebels convinced 36 loyalist prisoners. They convicted 36 loyalist prisoners So this is what, just a couple years later they was fighting together with the British, and then what, 2 years later they're fighting against each other. So while they were there, they said they found 36 of the people that was for the British, just like Isaac Shelby and Daniel Boone, both were for, and Simon Girty. Some were testified against by patriots who had previously fought alongside them and later changed sides. 9 of the prisoners were hanged before Isaac Shelby brought an end to the proceedings. So they killed 9 of the fucking prisoners. You were fucking British, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. And Isaac Shelby's decision to halt the executions came after an impassioned plea for mercy from one of the Biggerstaff women, although accounts vary as to whether it was Martha Biggerstaff, Aaron's wife, or Mary Van Zant Biggerstaff, Benjamin's wife. So as the Patriot Army dispersed, all but 130 Loyalist prisoners escaped over the next few days before the column finally reached camp at Salem, North Carolina. They escaped while being led single file through wooded areas. So just every once in a while, fuck it, I'm going. Or they would just kill them, right? If they ran, they were allowed to try to shoot them. And they did hang 9 of the prisoners of war. What was that about? We don't fucking know. They had no quarter during the battle. So during the battle, they weren't collecting prisoners. Just no quarter. Fuck it. If you see prisoners, take no prisoners. That's another way to say no quarter. Take no prisoners. A victor gives no quarter when the victor shows no clemency or mercy and refuses to spare the life in return for the surrender at discretion. Unconditional surrender of a vanquished opponent. So, unconditional surrender just means, we're going to kill you unless you just let us do whatever the fuck we want to do. We will kill you, or we're going to take every goddamn thing away from you. We forced the Japanese to an unconditional surrender after the bombing of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Under the laws of war, it's especially forbidden to declare that no quarter be given. This was established under Article 23 in the Hague Convention, the laws and customs of war on land. Since a judgment on the law relating to war crimes and crimes against humanity at the Nuremberg trials in October 1946 and the 1907 Hague Convention, including the explicit prohibition to declare that no quarter be given, are considered to be part of the customary laws of war and are binding on all parties in an international armed conflict. Yeah, international law. Who the fuck enforces international law? Nobody. War crimes, crimes against humanity. No quarter. Nah, you can kill the fucking prisoners. You can do whatever you want. It's fucking war. Massacre at Wahoo Falls. This is John Sevier. Actually, I mentioned something about this in the beginning when I was just talking about Native Americans in Kentucky. This is our Wounded Knee. Wounded Knee, they just massacred a whole bunch of fucking people for no fucking reason in northern America somewhere. I don't know, the northern states. And the Wounded Knee, Dakotas, maybe one of the Dakotas, Minnesota or Wisconsin, I don't know, somewhere up there. So the massacre at Yahoo Falls, the Great Cherokee Children Massacre, August 10th, 1810 at Yahoo Falls, and it's in the Daniel Boone National Forest area in southeast Kentucky. So Dan Troxel is the primary source about this. So according to this, to what happened, the women and children of the Cumberland River Valley wanted to get a white man's education. The Reverend Gideon Blackburn proposed to open a school on Cherokee land 125 miles away near Chattanooga. And it says the school was in Sequatchie Valley. And the day in question is arranged that anybody seeking protection at the school should meet at Yahoo Falls at full noon. And then they were led by Corn Blossom, the daughter of Doublehead. And then they were massacred by the soldiers sent by John Sevier, who was the governor of the state of Tennessee and not Kentucky. So they're all about the fucking doubt that it even fucking happened, which is what white people had been doing to Kentucky ever since the white people started getting here. What, Native Americans were here? Nah, it's a dark and bloody hunting ground. That's what it is. They drove all the way here and got the fucking animals and then drove all the way back. Bullshit. They had fucking horses or a canoe. No fucking way they're gonna kill a bunch of fucking animals and then trek fucking 100 miles away. They lived right next to their village. They hunted, they killed, they roamed maybe around in the fucking winter just so they could keep on getting food. But they didn't go far. They stayed right where they were. They stayed put right in the Indian Knoll Valley. You had burnt clay floors. Why do you have burnt clay floors if you weren't going to be a permanent fucking village? You had burnt clay floors because it was a hard wood floor to walk on. You wanted something hard to step on instead of always walking on fucking soft dirt that you feel like you're just going to fall through. So they would have burnt clay fucking floors. So yeah, that's what happened there. They had permanent settlements here. They had permanent settlements for a long ass fucking time. So fuck the, I hate that fucking lie. I hate the perseverance of that fucking lie, and I hate how people still echo that shit today. Edward Ned Mitchell and William Livingston were the ones that killed Chief Redbird. 1797, you have letters from the governor of Tennessee regarding the murders of Redbird and his retarded friend. The murders were wanton and unprovoked, and says that it was innocent and that he was going to get the perpetrators apprehended. But then later on, he's like, I don't care. You just need to shut your mouth. It's not my fault that my people killed your fucking chief. It's your fault. And you need to give me some land. Give me some land if you want to live. No, wait a second. They're John Sevier. Isaac Shelby's fucking best buddy. Here's Logan. This guy's he had his whole fucking family killed, and then he just goes ape shit and starts killing the Virginia and Pennsylvania colonizers and the settlers on the frontier border. And then that's when the British, Daniel Boone, this when Lord Dunmore, along with Daniel Boone, Simon Kitten, Simon Girty, and Isaac Shelby. Lots of white motherfuckers who eventually become, supposedly revolutionary, but they were fighting the British. They were fighting for the British against the Native Americans in 1774, not 2 fucking years prior to the so-called American Revolution. The War of Independence, that makes sense. But to call America's War for Independence a revolutionary war, nah, it was for independence only, not for fucking revolution. Revolution was what the fuck Johnny Logan was doing. That's revolution. You kill my whole fucking family, I kill as many of you all as I can fucking get. Who mourns for Logan? Who's going to carry on Logan's genetics? They have wiped him out. And basically what happened with Chief Johnny Logan is what happened with the Native Americans in general. You killed my whole fucking... He even said he was a friend of the white man. That the Indians made fun of him for being friends with the white man. It almost feels like Diana Richardson. You couldn't find a more righteous motherfucking, pale skin color person than me. But because I still have pale skin, that fucking racist piece of shit just didn't give a shit. Same thing with Chief Logan. Johnny Logan was friends to the white man. Loved them. Cared about them. Give them food. Was, entertained them. Helped them along their journey. And he got made fun of for doing it. And then the white man repaid Johnny Logan by wiping out his whole fucking family. Killing his sister while she was pregnant. Cutting out the fucking baby, stringing intestines all across the fucking river, killing the mother, the father, the grandparents, the brother, the sister, his kids, everybody, his wife, every fucking person in his family is gone. They're dead. And so what he was doing, along Yellow Creek near Steubenville, Ohio, with his fucking revenge, Johnny Logan had a right. It was Indian custom. You kill somebody in their village, they got a right to kill someone in your village. It's just right. It's equal. It's a sense of justice. And he's fucking right. He's fucking right. So that's what the Chief Lord Dunmore's War was about. That's why the Shawnee and the Mingo were all on Chief Logan's side. And but the white fucking British fucking Isaac Shelbys of the world didn't give a shit. They're going to kill as many fucking natives as they fucking wanted to. Simon Girty eventually gets disgusted with what the fuck they're doing and has a change of heart, and good for him. But none of the other motherfuckers did. They didn't mind. Isaac Shelby was going to get him 5,000 acres of Kentucky soil fuck the Native Americans. He's going to kill as many Native Americans as he can in North Carolina and Virginia and Ohio, and if he has to kill some in fucking Montana, he's going to go do it because he's got 5,000 acres of Kentucky land. And that's how he got that land, by killing fucking brown skinned Aboriginal Amerindians. So opposite to Isaac Shelby's 5,000 tract Redmond D. Barry. So it just shows that Isaac Shelby's 5,000 acre tract lies on both sides to the East Fork of Stones River. You have to really pay attention to see where this actually is. But just law fucking cases, right? The Jackson Purchase, Isaac Shelby was instrumental in doing that. So he's killing Cherokee fucking, or Chickasaw Indians. He killed Cherokee Indians in his fight with John Sevier against the Chickamauga Wars with the Redbird Indians, the massacre of Yahoo Falls, the 1810. This is all Isaac Shelby. It's either him doing it or him fucking starting, the fucking process. He's the fucking godfather of fucking Kentucky. He's the fucking forefather. He's the George Washington of Kentucky. And if this motherfucker is setting a trend of just, slave owning and genocide, the trend is just going to continue. He's elected. He's the 5th governor. So he was there in 1792, becomes governor, then becomes governor in the 1810s, 1812 or so he can fucking kill the British. Once more, kill some more Indians, kill some more British. And I'm starting to think it was just for access to the Mississippi River, and they tried to take over Canada. Couldn't fucking do it, but at least they got the Mississippi River. So Evan Shelby was his daddy. Shelby was killing Indians in Lord Dunmar's war because his daddy was in that fucking war, 1774. He gave votes to George Rogers Clark. He was in the Virginia legislature. The great genocider of the Northwest, George Rogers Clark, 1779. So he's giving votes so he can kill Indians up there. He's spending money to kill Indians in eastern and both eastern Tennessee and eastern Kentucky. So killing Native Americans, began killing Native Americans, had one good fight. He killed Patrick Ferguson of the British, right, in the Revolutionary War, then kept on killing, more Indians. Started out by killing Indians with the British, kept killing Indians, fought the British one time, then went back to killing Indians even more. He served Francis Marion, which was known as like the swamp rat, the guerrilla warfare. So he was all about guerrilla warfare. He was born in Maryland. Isaac Shelby was not even a Kentuckian. He was born in Maryland, just like Henry Clay was born in Virginia. And then he leads the Kentucky into the War of 1812, even leads the fight at the Battle of Thames. He kills Tecumseh, kills the Shawnee, more Native Americans, just killing Native Americans left and right. Buys the Chickasaw lands out. After the War of 1812, 1818, he buys the Chickasaw lands out along with Jackson, so rids Kentucky of all the Native Americans. Now Kentucky is free of Native Americans because of the fucking Jackson Purchase, because of Isaac Shelby buying the fucking Chickasaws out. And then he dies of a stroke in 1826 in Lincoln County. So killing Native Americans left and fucking right everywhere. He grew up on a plantation, part of the aristocracy, has 5,000 acres. He dies alone on his own land. I'm not for sure if the slaves were there in their own building or whatever, but he was by himself in his house. Evan Shelby was a plantation owner, but eventually he got his shit fucked up because of Pontiac's Rebellion. Pontiac's Rebellion was the British were fighting the French, and then they stopped because they had a Treaty of Paris, but the Native Americans were not satisfied. They said, wait a second, we were joining in this fight for other reasons, and we haven't got what we wanted, and so the Chief Pontiac kept on fighting, and that somehow fucked up Evan Shelby's fur business. So he's making money on the fur business, right? So getting the Native Americans to get fur, buying the fur from them, and then selling it to other people. So he's just a fucking middleman. And then when the Pontiac said fuck this shit and kept on killing people because he said, that looks like white people are just going to take all of our damn land, let's keep on fucking fighting this shit. That's when his Maryland fur business went down. He moved part of the Transylvania Company, which is an illegal purchase by Henderson and Daniel Boone. Virginia declared it illegal, but if it wasn't for Henderson and the Transylvania Company, Kentucky might not have been the state that it is today. But he bought the Cherokee land, so he knew the Cherokee was sitting on the land to kill the Cherokee, to wipe him out, to fight against the Chickamauga, to have a Yahoo Falls massacre, to have a fucking kill Chief Redbird, wipe out the fucking Cherokee, get them out of the way. The Shawnees all over the place, the Uchees all over the place, and now the last place we got is Chickasaw in the western part. So really, Isaac Shelby could be said he's the one that he cleared the way for Kentucky, right? Daniel Boone, he had some sense of solidarity and living amongst other people. He lived amongst, yeah, he had to fight Indians during the war at Battle of Blue Licks. But beforehand, he loved just being in the forest, hunting, and keeping himself alive, and lived amicably with the natives. He wasn't going around killing the natives. They had to hunt and live, and then he had to hunt and live. And so he actually had a spirit of cooperation with the Native Americans, something that Henry Clay, Isaac Shelby, fucking Stevens, fucking Richard Stevens, these motherfuckers don't know. They don't understand it. This is my land. Y'all get off my land. Fuck all y'all. And that's civilization, right? If you own property. That's not civilization. It might be a precursor to it. I think civilization is when we all could feed each other, when we're all industrialized, working together, getting shit done. That's civilization. It doesn't matter. The GDP is measured by how much shit you can produce, but if you produced a whole bunch of shit and never got distributed anywhere, how is that important? Like, that doesn't mean anything. You make 1,000 Big Macs and then throw it out into the fucking ocean, and that's good for the GDP because you just made 1,000 Big Macs, but it didn't help. None of the Americans. It just it either polluted or got rotten or maybe fed a few fish. But in terms of it, actually being helpful to anybody, it helps nobody. So just making a bunch of shit, just GDP, that's not a good indication of a good economy. We need to test our happiness. Denmark is taxed 80%, and they're the happiest country in the world. So Evan Shelby is a plantation owner, right? So he carries that legacy on forward with Isaac Shelby. There isn't much information about him, but I did find a fucking slave house. I found 3 certificates. A collection that has 3 certificates of him owning slaves and him requesting help to sell a slave down the river to New Orleans. So, he at least had 3 slaves, got rid of one, had a slave house, 5,000 fucking acres, 11 fucking kids. 5,000 acres is a lot of fucking acres. I mean, I would almost think he had 5,000 slaves, one for each acre. 1 acre, that's a good plot of ground. If you just raised 1 acre of corn using a hoe, that would take for fucking forever. You need to be out in the goddamn fields doing shit all the fucking time, right? And if you're a field Negro, it's time for fucking freedom. If you're an Uncle Tom House Negro, you don't get freedom. You don't understand freedom. So he started the Electoral College. He started the draft. And fucking Shelby is not a good guy. Isaac Shelby, not only is he a piece of shit, it's just fucked up. I mean, I was thinking like this, Isaac Shelby. I don't know. If you motherfuckers, it's like we are so desensitized, we almost pass over the horrible shit that happens. He's an Indian genocider. He's a slave owner, and then he cummed in somebody's ear. Wait. Tell me more about him coming in a guy's ear. Well, why being a murdering of fucking natives and being a fucking slave owner, that doesn't disqualify you from being a good people? That was back then. That's how they lived. Fuck you. It's fucking bad. If you ain't allowed to do that shit today, you shouldn't be allowed to do it. I feel like once you can go past, when you could say, he owned slaves and he killed Native Americans, yeah, but he really raised his tobacco really well, and his kids were healthy, and they lived a good life. Yeah, he was good for his own. He was good for his own fucking children, but he wasn't good for humanity. He wasn't good for society. He wasn't good for anybody else. And when you can gloss right over those big ass fucking things, yeah, he probably was raping the shit out of the slaves, but he believed in God. And that's all you need for some factions of Christianity to get into heaven. Just believe. You can be a bastard and murder all that you want and rape all that you want and, rob, rape, steal, kill. Rob, rape, kill, hit. Violence, rob, steal, hit. I mean, those are like the biggest ones. What else are there? Those are, when one person injures another person. How do you injure somebody? You hit them, you punch them, you rob them, you take something of theirs, or you kill them, or you rape. Right? You do something. Those are clear fucking violations of a human rights perspective, of an American rights perspective, of every way possible rights perspective. But if you gloss over motherfuckers being a murderer, you gloss over motherfuckers being, a rapist or slave owner and genocider, and you just focus on, wait a second, he cummed in somebody's ear. It's like that weird ass fucking detail is just like what people pay attention to the most, and it's just weird. It's just weird how, the a good story facts. A good story is more lasting than the facts, right? And that's the bad thing about history, is that facts aren't always a good storyteller. So I'm just trying to catch up all this stuff, making sure he killed POWs, right? He was basically just a fucking privileged asshole on a horse. I don't even know if he even fought or killed anybody. He led them into battles, but just charge, shoot his gun every once in a while. But really, it was his men that fucking did this shit, right? I guess he did probably kill people. He was a general out in the field, and I have more respect for a general out in the field than sort of somebody that stays in the war room giving orders to everybody else. Supposedly his slaves had it good, right? But who the fuck knows that type of shit? Um, Evan Shelby III died in Kentucky. I want to say Native Americans killed him. So even like John Boone, he had some family that was being killed just like him. At the Battle of Point Pleasant, the Shawnees, the Delaware, the Mingos, and the Tawas, the Ottawas, were there. So I think if they died, they were slain. Shawnees and Delaware are sort of related to each other because the Shawnees look at the Delaware as grandfathers or the uncle figures. Mingos are fallen Mohawk or Cayuga, Illinois people that fell off the Illinois. The Illinois was the first democracy in the entire world. They also founded lacrosse, and the democracy was founded in the 1100s. They also included non-white people and women. So they were actually respectful than the American democracy, which didn't include the women. The Iroquois included the women, just like the Cherokee did, and the Chickasaw. I think they're matrilineal too, but not the American form of government. So how's that a revolution? For American women, was that a step up? For some of the Protestant women who got taken care of, I bet they probably did okay. They didn't have to get in the fields with the Germans. They weren't out there having to do the fucking bullshit. They were Scarlett O'Hara, right? If you did hard labor, it ruined your hands and it made you look less delicate. That's how you could tell how well a person was doing with their trophy wife. Look at my trophy wife. She doesn't have to do shit, just look pretty, never has to do any work. She's happy and lazy and doesn't do shit, just eats all my damn food, basically a fucking parasite on my soul. But that's a Protestant woman. I'm believing God, and I worship her like she's my God. It makes no sense how much control this fucking idiot has over me. She's stupid. I don't respect her fucking knowledge and her, but she looks good, and so I have to somehow rationalize it to myself. So I just tell myself she is good and more holy and more pious, even though I'm just projecting the goodness that is of me onto them. And that probably explains a lot of fucking oppression too, right? If you're the names that you put on for other people, if it's just an imitation of yourself, nigger, like James Baldwin talked about nigger, and he says, I know I'm not the nigger, and so if your inventions is just a reflection of yourself, the real nigger are the white supremacists who have dreamed up nigger. And so I would say the opposite of it's true too. So whereas someone could say nigger being the beast of themselves, whereas the woman, their ideal of what their women are, they're good, pious, holy, more moral, more smarter, better in every fucking which way than them, really isn't true. But it's that they're so humble, they're willing to say, all right, we're probably equals when it comes to intelligence, but you want to be smarter, go ahead, you're smarter, sure, they're pumpkin pie. You're smarter and you're better looking. You're smarter, better looking. You're a better person, just all around, even if you're not. And really, flattery is fucking bullshit. I'd rather have sincere appreciation. Um, Here's a first-hand account of Isaac Shelby. The Battle of Point Pleasant, there wasn't too many accounts. This is one of the few accounts here. The Shawnees, Delaware, Mingos, and the Ottawas. One of the accounts of the three fires. The Tawas, the Tawas is what they called them. Mingos, Delaware, Shawnee. So there's a Shawnee, right? That's a Kentucky Native American. I think the Delawares and the Mingos and the Ottawas were in Kentucky, but this is West Virginia. Point Pleasant is in West Virginia. So here's there wasn't too many first person accounts of what had actually happened. And so Colonel Field was killed. So essentially, this is Shelby's statement, okay? And they wrote it in this book, and they have all these footnotes. So Isaac Shelby, he describes the battle. It's a Monday morning, a half an hour before sunrise. Two of Captain Russell's company discovered a large party of Indians about a mile from camp, one of which men was shot down by the Indians, and the other made his escape and brought the intelligence. So that's how they found out that they were there. There's Indians in the neighborhood. Come on, let's get our shit together. Two of Captain Shelby's came and confirmed the account. And then they said, fuck it, let's go. Let's do this. And then, one of the captains dies. And then in this precipitate retreat, Colonel Field was killed during this time, which is till after 12 o'clock. The action continued extremely hot. The close underwood and many steep banks and logs greatly favored the retreat. And the bravest of the men made the best use of them, whilst others were throwing their dead into the Ohio and carrying off their wounded. After 12, the action in a small degree abated, but continued except at short intervals, sharp enough till after 1 o'clock. Their long retreat gave them a most advantageous spot of ground, from whence it appeared to the officers so difficult to dislodge them that it was thought most advisable to stand as the line was then formed, which was about 1.25 miles in length, and had sustained till then a constant and equal weight of the action from wing to wing. It was till about half an hour sunset they continued fired on us, scattering shots, which we returned to their disadvantage. At length at night coming on, they found a safe retreat. They had not the satisfaction of carrying off any of our men's scalps, save one or two stragglers whom they killed before the engagement. Many of their dead they scalped rather than we should have them, but our troops scalped upwards of 20 of their men that were first killed. Is beyond doubt their loss in number far exceeds ours, which is considerate. So, right, they succeeded. The whole scalping ritual was a big fucking part about how Isaac Shelby talked about the Battle of Point Pleasant, how it started. They saw Native Americans. Supposedly the Native Americans fired first, and so they had to give chase, and they killed more of them than they killed of his people. Supposedly only 1 or 2 died before the battle, and then 20 Native Americans scalps they were able to get. And then they said the Native Americans were scalping their own, so they couldn't get credit for it. Is that true? Or maybe their own, they could get, hair buyers can't distinguish one Native American tribe from another, so maybe they was just cutting off their own dead because they wouldn't be of no use, so why not get some money for those people's hair? But they were also holy too, so it would seem like it would be smart to use all the resources that you have, but I wonder if they could actually kill or take the top of one of their friends' head off. I know they're like, I don't want to say they're savage, but everybody was savages back then because everybody was doing all this sick fucking shit. And Chief Doublehead was a cannibal, and so I just don't know if they couldn't block it out, but which one would win? Their sense of ritual and their sense of the spirit and oneness, or the fact that they needed to eat and they needed to get some money, and they got money through scalps. The white people bought scalps and furs and other shit. So I'm not for sure. That's to be the history. We'll let history decide that. Posterity will decide on that. Okay. So Shelby's term of office, he's the first governor, then he's the 5th governor. He was 62 years old when he gets to be the governor in 1812, and that's pretty much all that dominated his entire position. The population was 400,000, and it supplied over 24,000 men towards the war effort. So that's 1/8. Governor Shelby himself in the summer of 1813 met over 3,000 militia volunteers from Newport to take part in the war in northern Ohio and Canada. Governor Shelby was leader in the Battle of the Thames. Chatham, Ontario, decisive battle in which the British and their Native American allies, including Shawnee Chief Tecumseh, were defeated. Colonel Richard M. Johnson He's credited with the death of Tecumseh, and then he dies at Traveler's Rest. He was the only settler living in the original claim from Virginia in Kentucky. He also negotiated the Jackson Purchase, which we talked about. We talked about the Citizen Gannett affair, where he was a turncoat bastard trying to sell Kentucky to the fucking French, right? Give Kentucky to the French. We're not going to be part of the British Empire. We're not going to be the Americans. We're going to be motherfucking French. That's what Isaac Shelby, like, he was a fucking bastard, man. He was a rat fucking bastard. He was British. He was American. Was French for a short time. And then went back to being American. I don't know. Maybe he's actually genius in some respects, because it was a revolutionary time at the time, right? Lots of shit was fucking going down. 1792, you will have Marie Antoinette get her head chopped off the year after. 1793, both King Louis the 16th and Marie Antoinette get their heads chopped off the year after. And then you have, 1792 is when Kentucky was formed and made a state into. So it's kind of the trajectory. I don't want to say the opposite, but it seems like the opposite. You got revolutionary France, and then you got anti-revolutionary Kentucky. So the way they formed the government, just like the national government, bunch of slave-owning aristocratic fucking assholes. I don't know. I guess they were rid of the Indian threat or whatever, but they could have made it integrationist, right? So instead of making a aristocratic, rich, white male fucking place for lawyers to screw over the fucking poor white squatters and Native Americans, it could have been a land for everybody. Rainbow land. You know? So here's the Jackson Purchase. They're a bunch of Confederates. They were going to secede the fucking Jackson Purchase to the fucking to the South. If Kentucky ain't going to go to the South, then fuck it. With this little tiny ass fucking, we'll have the fucking the Purchase, the fucking Jackson Purchase fucking lands are going to go. It's good, consistent with the whole Cherokee spirit. And since there are black folks, there have been a lot of lynchings, but also there's a black population, and it's right on the river, right where Mississippi is. I think Cairo. I don't know. It seems like that's where the Huck Finn and Jim would have been on that fucking river, right around there, right? And so, being with waterways and villages, people see traders and lots of different shit. They're less fucking prejudiced against different things because they've seen different things. So hopefully they're fair and okay, but if history's any indication, they got rid of the fucking Chickasaw natives, they got rid of the fucking, lynched all the fucking black people that they could fucking lynch. They were going to go Confederate. So if there are black folks still there, I salute you. You all survived. Good for you all. And I'm being serious on that part, because you're being surrounded by a bunch of white psychopath fucking, genocidal fucking maniacs who murdered, and then their history books don't even talk about the shit, and they just blip right over it, right? Just scoot right on over the fucking facts. Oh yeah, George Washington killed all the Iroquois, wiped them out, genocide, killed in Miami, Shawnee, taking all that land that wasn't his. Yeah, he killed the deserters. Okay. He had a bunch of fucking slaves. He didn't free them. He kept on. He probably raped some, right? Took this fucking slave teeth and put it in his mouth. Yeah. What did he do again? Oh yeah, he plunged the United Colonies into a 7-year war to declare independence from Britain, so he could be the aristocrat that controlled everybody. So that's what he did. And they were less totalitarian fascists. Not really. They had a document that said that there were certain freedoms, but they didn't even get the Bill of Rights till 1787. So that was actually near the end of his tenure. He was president in what, 17... I want to make up some dates here. 1784 to 92. I don't know. When President fucking Washington was fucking president. I do know that the main educational institution in the Jackson Purchase is Murray State University. So Murray State is over there. Governor Isaac Shelby has 11 children. This is the Ancestry Board. So we're going to see her name. Susanna Hart. So Susanna Hart and Governor Isaac Shelby. I have a Professor Hart and a Professor Biggerstaff, of which I've seen both names in my research on Governor Isaac Shelby. Susanna Hart is a woman he married, and then Biggerstaff was the man's land that they were on when they killed all those POWs after the Battle of Big Mountain or King's Mountain. So after the Battle of King's Mountain, they hung 9 POWs on the land of a man named Biggerstaff, and they eventually showed mercy because of one of the Biggerstaff women pleading mercy. Please, please, you were British once too. You know, we didn't know. You were British, we're British. It was about 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. So the so-called American Revolution, the War for Independence, makes more sense, was more of a civil war than the Civil War was. It was 1/3 versus 1/3 versus 1/3. 1/3 neutral, 1/3 for the British, 1/3 for Washington. And that's just something John Adams says, and that was just a rule of thumb. That really, you know, there's no fucking statutes or you can't. How do you fucking know? You know, 1/3's fucking neutral. You two are fighting, so I gotta fucking choose sides. I ain't fucking choosing sides. I'm just gonna fucking. I'm gonna stay right here and just watch some Netflix. Tell me what to fucking do. I'm an American. I'm allowed to do whatever the fuck I want to do. Haha. So the Citizen Guinea affair, Edmund Charles Genet, was just an interesting little fucking thing. I don't hate this guy. He comes over and he tries to fucking raise the French army to fight the Spanish, and then plays dumb about it with Washington. Says he's going to stop, but keeps on doing it. Goes to Kentucky to try to find some shit, and then they want to arrest him and arrest all the other people. And then eventually finds out Revolutionary France had turned their back on him. And so I don't know if he was actually a royalist. The radical Jacobins newly in power. So he was a gridiron. So I think he was part of revolutionary France, but the Jacobinists just started fucking killing everybody who wasn't like pristine and pure. And so Genet, I think he was revolutionary France, but wasn't revolutionary enough. Maybe he was taking too long. He was a diplomat. He's supposed to come back a long time ago, and he didn't. So what the fuck is up? And then Transylvania Company, right, when they fucking bought the Cherokee land. Susanna Hart, daughter of Captain Nathaniel Hart. They started building their home on the land he'd claimed several years before. Traveler's Rest was designed by Isaac Shelby and is thought to have been one of the first stone houses in Kentucky. The main wing has 2 stories high with single-story wings extended from either end, one containing the master bedroom and the other the kitchen. Traveler's Rest was accidentally burnt in 1905 when the current owner tried to smoke a wasp nest out of the attic. Oh my God. An engineer on a passing train, they tried to put it out, but they didn't. They didn't. Shelby was a trustee of the Transylvania Seminary, Kentucky's first college, chairman of the board of trustees at Center College in Danville, founders Kentucky Society for Promoting Useful Arts, which supported agricultural education, promoted the distribution of materials on the most innovative farming techniques. Shelby's military record was well known. He fought in the Revolutionary War at the famous Battle of King's Mountain and in the War of 1812, where he led a regiment to the rescue of Kentucky troops during the Battle of Thames near Detroit. He achieved some fame for his performance during the battle of that people from Michigan. And on and on and on. So I wanted to find out 2 things. I want to find out about who the fuck is this Stevens guy, right? Richard Stevens, 94 fucking thousand acres. God damn, I can't even fucking put my mind around that many acres. So Richard Stevens, we need to find out what the fuck, how did he get 94,000 acres? And then Genet, I want to know about Genet and his fucking ordeal, because I mean, how does a Frenchman come to the United? I mean, he's like a Lafayette. Lafayette was an unpaid general. Basically, the king says, "I'll send you, but I'm not going to pay you," and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm out." And he went, you know, Lafayette come over here and wound up being like a badass fucking general over here. But wasn't exactly a good general back there. He was actually against the revolution back in his hometown. So he helps America fight the revolution, only go back to France to fight against the revolution. And the fucking, what the fuck was up with Washington and, you know, Thomas Jefferson resigned when Washington declared neutrality between the whole British and France war. Right there, revolutionary France was having a war with Britain, and United States fucking declared neutrality when we should have allied with the Haitian revolutionaries and we should have allied with the French revolutionaries. Of course we should have. I mean, what we want the kings and queens? We want goddamn fucking colonialism. We want, you know, how could we not identify with the Haitian revolutionaries? How could we have not identified with the French revolutionaries? The reason why we couldn't identify with them was because we weren't revolutionaries. Simon Gertie was a revolutionary. Dragon Canoe was a revolutionary. Tecumseh was a revolutionary. Cornstalk, Malunta, go on down the line. They were fucking revolutionaries. Johnny Logan was a revolutionary, the best fucking revolutionary ever. And compared to him to fucking Squanto, I'll take a Johnny Logan any fucking day of the week. So they couldn't identify with the revolutions, and that's why it's the age of revolution, because when you look around the world, America, yeah, we had a constitution, yeah, we got the Bill of Rights, we overthrew the fucking British, so success militarily. But in terms of setting up a fucking egalitarian, free and fair, equal fucking society between all parties, not even fucking close. Still slavery, still aristocracy, still fucking, you know, all the founders were rich as fuck. So the revolution only fucking made them wealthy, and they used propaganda, you know, they knew they were propagandists. John Adams was all about what kind of title do you want to be called, and what's your name, and don't you dare say anything bad about the government or I'll throw you in jail, motherfucker. He was very much a British, all fucking in awe of King George. Oh, King George, I am so much in awe of you. And they, you know, sought to forge a relationship right afterwards. But I bet it was sort of like when St. Patrick burns his master's house down, right? When the slave confronts the master, and then the master's like, oh, please, please. It's like, all right, you don't want to be my slave. I don't want to be your slave. We don't want to be masters. Let's just enjoy each other's fucking company. I got consciousness, you got consciousness. Let's talk about that. Let's build culture. Look, I can fucking make this painting. You can make a painting. Let's press each other in competition to develop our skills, you know, for society, so we can become better artists, better jokesters, better singers, better what the fuck ever, basketball players, and better farmers. That's how we get better. When we pressure and push ourselves to do, you know, use competition, use our love for each other in competition to build that love into to bettering ourselves. Not to destroy ourselves, but to better ourselves. And that's my 2-hour speech, you know. Fucking Isaac Shelby, what a fucking bastard. The little bit that we do know about him being a fucking rapist, a rapist of slaves, right? A fucking pedophile to the slaves, a rapist. He comes in the fucking slaves' ears, right? That's why would he do something like that? We don't fucking know. Yeah, he killed a lot of fucking Indians and he was a slave owner and shit, but the coming in fucking people's ears, Isaac Shelby, you one weird freaky fucking dude. But you definitely made Kentucky a dark and bloody indeed. Definitely dark and fucking bloody. Killing Shawnee, Delaware, Mingo, Ottawas, instituting the draft so you could kill Tecumseh, installing the electoral college to get yourself elected. Evan Shelby, your own fucking brother, died by the fucking natives, but you didn't give a shit. You were with the British, you were with the French, you were with the Americans. You was all over the fucking place. You established Kentucky, you got it fucking, you know, created. Good for you. You got a constitution and you got it validated because of the United States saying you was a state. And then later you're going to try to secede. Later you're going to be a Confederate and pretend like the United States, the adoption of your fucking government into the United States made you a real fucking thing. A lot of states went by the wayside. So if it wasn't for that motherfucker, you wouldn't have been, if it wasn't for the United States and Shelby, there would be no Kentucky. Killed POWs. This guy is a fucking sick fucking piece of shit. Fucking sick. That's why he died alone. Had all them babies and shit. I don't know. I'm not impressed with Isaac Shelby being the fucking George Washington of the motherfucker. He seems to be just like Washington, only he has way more flaws. He's not as smart. He's not as revolutionary, not as democratic, not as fair, not as distinguished. I don't know. Fuck Isaac Shelby. I'm not even a big fan of George Washington. He's no Simon Gertie. We'll put it that way. He's no fucking Dragon Canoe. Isaac Shelby, he's no fucking Dragon Canoe. Hell, Isaac Shelby isn't even a goddamn Thomas Jefferson. Isaac Shelby. What other fucking person could compare Isaac nationally in the United States national consciousness? Isaac Shelby would be like a fucking lame Andrew Jackson. He's like a fucking Henry Clay. He's a fucking Henry Clay. Isaac Shelby was the precursor to Henry Clay. Only he actually was in battles, and Henry Clay was just an aristocrat fucking waving a bloody shirt. But Henry Clay's not national consciousness. Who the fuck would be national? Like Calvin, Silent Cal, maybe? I don't know. He fought in battles, right? He was killing Native Americans, led the fucking Kentuckians in the War of 1812. So that's something. It's one thing to sit on your laurels and order other motherfuckers into battle, but he actually led them into the Battle of Thames. Killing Tecumseh, though. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Basically, I think I just hate your entire philosophy of life. And you were just voted in by a bunch of weak motherfuckers that just wanted some big daddy strong arms to fucking protect them from the mean fucking natives. But it would have been better in the long term if you would have just got along with everybody. Show us how civilized you are by not being a genocidal, slave owning, fucking rapist, psycho piece of shit. Can you do that? Well, Isaac Shelby, I'm fucking talking to you. Can you fucking do that?